Are you ready? What?
Hey,
Whoa, you're back.
I am back from my hiatus.
Well, of course you're back for Nancy. It's not for me.
It wasn't for you. I wasn't going to roll out of bed today. It was just you.
It's not for me.
But it's all good.
You feeling better?
I'm on the mend. I'm feeling better. So,
Stay away from me.
So,
although we were together this weekend at a great game.
I got a whole group of Patreons. Gave them some fun bugs. So we're good.
True.
No, I'm feeling good. But yeah, it's been what? Since because we were off for Valentine's Day, so it's been the first week of February.
3 weeks for you. Everyone's missed you, Andy. Not me.
I'm sure. I know Joe told me how much he missed me.
That's right,
which was great.
Was everybody excited in the chat? I mean, listen, I've been talking about this a lot. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nancy. What I love about Nancy now, when we bring her up, I can tell you this, is that you see Nancy in a lot of our YouTube, chats with various YouTubers. I mean, same with like Brian Tracy of Sagamore. I love that she does that, and she loves rock and roll, and so that's like right up our alley. Yeah. So I can't wait.
And it's so funny because we got a message. You just got a message. We're gonna have on next week. We have Still Austin on.
Yep.
And then the week after,
Brandon,
we have Wyoming Whiskey on.
David's
gonna be on. And David we were just rapping with him. He was talking about how much he likes Def Leppard because we saw Def Leppard. I was like, we're gonna fit right in, my man. We're gonna be okay. It's gonna be fun. So
and he went like this.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
So there it was. See, you finally timed that well.
I timed that good.
We need to come on more. You're actually doing you're on cue and everything. This is
it works and everything.
Not bad at all. Got a lot coming in. That's great. We're excited to have you here. Spread the news. Whiskey blender Nancy the Nose Fraley is in the house tonight, which is going to be fun.
Yes.
Did want to mention we did have a Patreon meet and greet this weekend.
I'll show a picture of that later.
Yeah, we'll show a picture later.
At the Graves house.
It was a lot of fun. And we want to say thank you to Evan, who became a brand new Patreon member.
That's right.
Actually, while we were there,
yeah,
which was great. So we definitely appreciate that. And then John just became a YouTube member. So to all of you for supporting us and all those, thank you. Welcome to.
So before we bring up Nancy, I'll let everybody know in the chat. If you have a question for Nancy, we'll try to get to them. If you super chat it, we'll definitely see it. So we want to make sure you have access to Nancy as well. We're going to ask her a bunch of questions. Some of our Patreon members also have submitted some questions that we'll get into Nancy as well. It's going to be fun, guys. We're going to have her for a while, and we're going to talk about whiskey, and we're going to talk about other things that I think I think will be exciting to hear what Nancy has to answer. So
yeah, so it's not often that we get to mingle music and whiskey with someone who is an expert in both, which is really, really cool. So, so I guess without further ado, why don't we bring on our special guest for the night, Nancy the Nose Fraley. Nancy, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hold on. I like that. Hold on. I'm not going to do it.
You're already doing well. Don't tempt fate.
Good to be here.
Cheers, Nancy. How are you?
Cheers.
Look at that. All right. So, like I said, Nancy, one of the things many things I love about you is that we see you in chats of whiskey tubers, right? And I love that, Brian Tracy from Sagamore does that. You do that. I mean, I don't know what do you just love being in this community as well and just interacting and seeing what people are doing? I mean, you're on channels, and I love that about you.
Yeah, well, I'm a first and foremost a whiskey fan. I would say that before I was ever a master blender.
Right.
So I like hanging out with people with the same interests. I like hanging out with people that love rock and roll and that musician type. So it's fun for me to hang out. Whenever I can. Sometimes I'm on the road and I can't do it, but whenever I'm home, I to try and make a an effort to reach out and be part of the community.
I think the ultimate thing, Andy, would be somehow to be, I guess, maybe it's Still Austin when our live band, rock band's playing and we're sitting there drinking some Nancy Fraley, Still Austin. That would be the ultimate right there. Sitting with Nancy, watching a band play, drinking.
Should I revive my band to go play out?
Something needs to happen.
Should I do that?
Right.
I am not I mean, that sounds like an amazing experience.
Nancy, if you want, I'll do rhythm. If you want to do the bass, and we'll go. We'll
I'll
do a
sing?
little.
No.
2 out of 3.
I can do a bass, or I started off as a drummer. So
you played in a band with your sister, right? Way back in the day, right?
Yeah, I was in a number of bands, but back in the day. And if I ever get back off the road again, for my work, I'd love to do it again.
Sounds like Andy.
Well, now it's funny. Do you know the band Kicks from Baltimore? I have to ask you. Have you heard of the band Kicks?
No.
Okay.
It's an 80s rock band.
They're an 80s rock band. They sold a little over 1 million albums of their
song called "Don't Close Your Eyes."
Don't Close Your Eyes is their big hit. But anyway, they're from here and they never went out west to make it big with the rest of the
hair bands.
But there was a club called Hammerjacks here that was infamous for bands coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I took vocal lessons from Steve Whiteman.
Wow.
Yeah, the lead singer of that band.
Yeah, about 15 years ago, something like that, before our little acoustic up here. It was fun.
What shows you that type of band, Nancy, you can think about it. When that wave of music went not fun anymore, not hip, what happened was the members started doing teaching lessons. That's what happened. And giving teaching lessons to somebody like Andy.
Cheaper than most of the places around there, too. So I was like, heck, he's
from playing in arenas to teaching Andy. That's how far we fell.
Well, you know what?
Anyway, so we're going to go through a bunch of expressions. Nancy, we'll get into your background. We have some Still Austin Nancy picks. We have this beautiful Wyoming Whiskey 10-year, which we just dropped their review on. We'll talk about that. I think that's what's in your glass right now.
Super excited.
And we have a Joseph Magnus.
So before we start, why don't we give you the floor? Why don't you, for if there's a handful out there who maybe aren't familiar with you and your work, just kind of give them a little Nancy Fraley 101, just a little overview about yourself and tell them a little bit about the good things you got going on.
Yeah, sure. Man, I don't know how far back you want me to go.
Start in pre-K, Nancy. And then
when you were 6 years old at that wedding, you tried a Jack and Coke first, right? When you got the first taste of Jack and Coke. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So actually I did have my first taste of Jack and Coke when I was 7 years old at my dad's wedding to my stepmother. That would have been 1977. I'm 53, so you can do the math. Almost a child in the 60s by just.
There you go.
So, but anyway, long story short, I go to college, study religious studies and Buddhism. End up at Harvard Divinity School. Thinking I'm going to go for a PhD in Buddhist studies to Tibetan Buddhism, go to law school and study admiralty and maritime law. And I didn't want to do any of that. All the while I'm, in bands and, playing and all that. Somewhere along the line, after law school, I had gone to a fundraiser and had this opportunity to try a craft brandy called Germain Robin. It was made by a 10th generation cognac maker that came to California in the early 1980s. Literally changed my life. I'm kind of blah, blah, blah. Quit my law firm, traveled the world for a while, Morocco, Spain, whatever. And a year later, I was working at that distillery. And so all the techniques that I work as a master blender, what I call a freelance master blender. Now I've got 4 major distilleries I work for, Still Austin, J. Henry and Sons out of Wisconsin, Wyoming Whiskey, and Joseph Magnus and Sons. And Sons, what I'm saying, Joseph A. Magnus. I'm thinking of J. Henry and Sons. Anyway, so yeah, what I do is I kind of take all those French blending techniques that I learned early on, and I make bourbon and other whiskeys, what I call the French style.
Right. Well, you mentioned us also what you kind of bring differently to American whiskey, right? That not many other people in the industry can do, right? I mean, you're sort of a one of a kind in that respect, correct? Because those tips from those master brandy makers back, they're very tight-lipped, I think you said, and they don't really share their secrets. But you got in on that book, and now you have it. So that's what you have that really nobody else does. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. So
not to stroke your ego, but that's true.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are a few other people that known. I don't know if you guys are into rum at all, but Maggie Campbell from the Rum World also worked at Chemin Robin, and there are a few of us, about 3 of us out there that kind of learned this stuff. And so if you hear people talk about slow water reduction when they're going from barrel to bottling strength and all, they either got it from me or one of those two, or from my mentor. I mean, it's a pretty small pool of people that know about this, centuries old brandy stuff.
And that's what you brought to Still Austin, right? I mean, they're using that technique, right? And that's sort of, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to start there.
Yeah.
Well, we can. I mean, honestly, so I'll say this. Still Austin, for those who are not familiar, it's a up and coming and a dynamite distillery out in Austin, Texas. I was able to get out there for work in August. That very day that I'm getting ready to leave, I'm like, hey, I'm only 5 minutes away. I pop in, tiny little place. Cupid, it's tiny. And in the back wall, they've really got like only 2 shelves of whiskey. And the one shelf was plastered, and it had Nancy's face all over the tasting notes, and it said Nancy's pick. And I'm like, oh, this looks good. So I went up to the lady behind the counter. I said, I'd love to try a sample of that. She said, well, you will not. she said,
he said, don't you know who I am? She said, no, I do not.
Wait a minute. I have a YouTube channel with millions of 5,000. Anyway, so she said, you got to buy it.
You're like, all right.
She said, we can't sample them out. You got to buy it. I said, all right, brilliant. That's bad. But Nancy's nasal was probably pretty darn good, so I'll take it. My regret was not getting 2.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
It's this bottle right here. It's the August Nancy Fraley.
And really, really good. And I was blown away that something, again, this is pushing, 5 years old. I think it was 4 months or 4 years, 8 months, something like that. But just absolutely.
4 years, yep. At least 4 years, yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Led us to get another one that we got the January pick too from a Patreon who said, hey, I can get you another bottle.
Oh, yes.
But
it's good to know people, Nancy, right? So we have Mr. Great Shot. I don't know if he's in the chat. There he is. He's right there. He went there this weekend and got me another. So here's the other thing. I want to show this real quick. So Nancy, you would agree. I mean, whiskey's to be shared with friends, right? That's why the best thing about it. So we went to our friend Kathy and Joe's house, and a bunch of our friends now, they're viewers of the show that live sort of around we do in Maryland. We get together for these sort of tastings, and you come together, and we've got Dusty Dan, who's a whiskey tuber, and it was really a great time, Christopher's. But I'm going to show this real quick. And what I did, I brought your basically your January Nancy pick from Still Austin. I said, you know what? Let's share it, and then also everybody take some home with you so you can drink with us. So let me show this picture real quick, and you can get a sense. There we all are. There's the group. We had such a good time over whiskey.
You bring it up, buddy?
Oh yeah, sorry. Bring that up. There you are. I can see it.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I saw that on Instagram. Yes. I loved it. That looks like so much fun.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? So there is a lot of people that are in the chat that have this pick. So should we start with? I don't know, Nancy. Do you have this January pick with you, and we can maybe talk about it?
I've got it right here. As a matter of fact,
right, well, let's do a little pour here because
I don't have the. I've got a barrel sample from August, but that's like out in my office. I've got a cottage out back in my house that's. I don't want to go digging through.
No worries. Now, actually, this is a great opportunity because we had talked about this right before you came on air. We're not professionals. As much as our viewers might like to think they are, they probably aren't either. So having you on is fantastic. And what an opportunity to learn from someone with your skill sets. So we were wondering if you could walk us through the proper way to nose a whiskey.
Let me pour a little bit more then.
And then taste a whiskey. Like what if Nancy is approaching a whiskey for the first time, how can we do this like Nancy the Nose Fraley?
Oh man,
you bet. So if you want to do what the professionals do, first of all, you want some kind of tulip glass, like what I've got right here. That I
don't have. Crap.
Yeah.
Okay. First strike. Go ahead.
So the Glencairns are not the best.
The Glencairns are not the best for this, is what you're saying.
No. I've got some Wyoming whiskey in my Glencairns.
Okay, good.
All right, keep going. Sorry, didn't mean it. Go ahead. Trying to learn.
Find something that didn't have whiskey in it already. So what you want to do is you don't want to give it an aggressive swirl. You just want to actually kind of roll it in the glass, roll the whiskey. And if you notice, when you nose, if you put your nose towards the top of the glass versus the bottom of the glass, tell me if you kind of get if one side seems a little bit more aggressive than the other.
So tilting it to the side.
Yeah. Just but if you put your nose up towards the top versus the bottom, do you notice anything different?
I actually get more at the top. Why is that?
Yeah, you look at all the ethanol doesn't hit you as much.
Yeah. So what happens is that you get more volatility and more aggressive notes, more just pure ethanol at the bottom of the glass. So if you put your nose kind of more towards the top, you get more of the kind of aromas that you're looking for.
I've never done that. We're sniffing whiskey the wrong way, Andy. You're going like this.
I do a lot of things the wrong way. That's why my wife tells me that every day.
And not doing it the right way. All right, there you go. I like it. Okay. That's true.
If you notice, if you go from one nostril to the other, do you notice that you might one nostril might be more dominant than the other, or maybe not?
Well, Andy's probably got 2 clogged nostrils right now, so that's probably.
Well, no, I can. I mean, as funny as that sounds, I think
my right is.
I think the right. Is
my right, stronger. I think, is stronger. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And or is anybody nasally ambidextrous out there?
That's true. Yeah. How is everyone at home doing this? I hope everyone's doing this the same way we are, and we're not the only ones. I hope you guys are doing it. I totally.
I think this is fun though. This is really cool that we get to be.
I've done things wrong my whole life. See, we're all doing it. I totally feel like a moron now. We all have been doing it the wrong way. See, this is why we wanted to ask Nancy this. All right, good. Go. Okay.
Most people will probably be dominant in one nostril or the other. And one thing about your nose, unlike those of us that are visually challenged and wear glasses, like your right eye is connected to the left part of your brain. Opposite. That's what you call contralateral sensory perception. When it comes to nosing, actually, like your right nostril is connected to the right part of your brain, the left nostril connected to the right part of your brain. So I find often, like people that are, right brain kind of creative types tend to be better at tasting notes sometimes, not always, but sometimes that's.
Yeah, right. Well, first of me, the nose on this,
the nose is beautiful.
It's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's very decadent. The nose on this, to me, almost like a cake. I mean, like a decadent cake, almost like I don't know what. It's almost. I swear I get some chocolate on this. I don't know why.
I think there's a lot of chocolate on that, and
yeah. All right.
I get a lot of. I get cherries too from the rye.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we should probably mention this. The mash bill on these is what? It's a standard. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry, Nancy. What's the mash bill of this?
It's 25% rye.
Rye. Okay.
What's it? 70% corn, 5% malted barley. Actually, when Still Austin started, they were using instead of rye, they were using wheat as the small small grain. And I said, guys, that's going to take years for that to come online. And in fact, that almost 6-year-old wheat whiskey is just now really taking off. But the rye, I just knew was going to come online a lot sooner, and was just going to be a better kind of flagship product.
And so that combination then of the aging process in Texas with the extreme climates plus rye, which can come to fruition a little quicker than wheat, is kind of one of the secrets behind how quickly Still Austin has come into the forefront. It's one of the best distilleries in Texas as of right now. They're really and they never sourced. They kind of started from out of the gates, which was impressive, especially for.
Let me ask you. Go ahead, Nancy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. It's all 100% Texas grains and
if they could probably get somehow American oak to grow in Texas, they'd probably use that as well, I assume, in their barrels.
Oh yeah, you have no idea if that could be grown in Texas, or to the quality that you get like in the Ozarks, so it would definitely be sourced.
And that's one of the things to bring up. One of our good friends, Brian, Sagamore, we're big fans of. We live literally like 5 minutes. Brian Tracy, I don't know if he's in the chat, but if he's not,
I love Brian Tracy. Yes,
everyone loves him. But they're putting out it's right now 2.5 years. The penny's proof, so they're getting it up to age. But it's all Maryland. It's everything's sourced in Maryland. Even the barrels now are made of Maryland oak. So
we asked that question to at Penny's Proof. The guy who takes care of their farm came on, and we were talking to him, like the presence of the Maryland barrel. What is that going to be like? And he's like, we're not sure yet, but we can't wait to find out. Like just the distinctness of the Maryland oak, which will be neat. So
grains. Distilled, aged, and even the barrels.
I'm just going to throw that out there before we keep going.
I'm excited about
Nancy
that.
Fraley pick with Sagamore would be pretty cool.
I think there needs to be a collaboration.
A little Brian Tracy, Nancy Fraley.
We need to make that happen, and we need to be out there.
I've known Brian for at least 10 years.
Great.
If not more. I've done a little like consulting for him before and such too. But I'm 100% behind.
All right, we'll try to make that happen, Nancy.
Todd knows people.
I don't know really many people besides Brian, but I'll give you the good. All right, let me ask you this: the swirling of it. I've seen. Is it aggressive? Is it a skirmish? What is it, Andy? What do we got here? How do we swirl? Is it dependent? What do we do?
So what I like to do, you don't want to give it a big swirl. If you do that, you're just going to get a bunch of aggressive alcohol. So what you want to do is just roll the glass. I often, that's what I like about Glencairns is I'll just kind of like roll the glass on.
And that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And coat the glass, and then sniff the top of the glass. We did that experiment, and then we went from side to side too. And, you'll probably notice you're more dominant on one nostril than the other.
Definitely right for me.
And, or you get different notes from each nostril.
Yeah, it's just more pronounced to me from the right side. And there's Brian Tracy. He was in the chat. He just wanted to say, did you see that chat, Andy? I just wanted to highlight that.
I did. Yeah, I put that up
there.
We love Nancy. She helped us several times in the past. There you go. Anyway.
He's a good guy.
We're very lucky to live literally like 5 to 7 miles from the distillery. So for us, it's awesome. Anyway, okay. So we've swirled it. We've nosed it. We've got the proper way to do it now.
We're picking out the right nostril.
Yes.
So
doing it right.
The right. So far we're doing well. We're picking out notes.
We used to do it completely wrong. I would swirl it really hard and sniff it like this.
Yes.
Not this way, not that way, not top. So, all right, good. So I've got that. Let's taste it.
And we kind of say this is like, Napoleon would send like the gestures in when he had his plans, because they said if they can understand it, then my army of generals can understand it. So I'm saying if you can get Todd to understand this, then I think we can get the whole chat. We're in good shape.
Palate cleanse with the Coke Zero.
One thing I didn't mention too is that when you're noticing, you want to keep your lips slightly parted.
Too. I was going to ask it. So people open their mouths when they do that, right? So
yeah. So that's
why is that?
to kind of geek out for a moment, that's called retronasal olfaction. So when you nose, you're getting the molecules of the whiskey are going, up your snout, so, up your nose, and also through the back of your throat. So it's kind of meeting in both places.
Okay.
What you call the olfactory epithelium, which is some mucosa where the molecules attach to, and it goes to the limbic part of your brain. So anyway, you'll notice if you do a lot of nosing too, if you keep your lips parted, also keep you from getting a headache.
Oh,
too.
All good things. Again, we're doing everything wrong. That's good. That's why
right.
we're doing
we are learning.
Is anyone else in the chat getting out of this that they've been doing this?
See, I think this is great. Honestly, there's not a lot of people get into whiskey, and you develop a passion. Your palate starts to kind of come forward. You know what you like, what mash bills, heavy rye or big wheaters or whatever. But you don't necessarily know if you're doing it right. When I was teaching in Baltimore City at night, I had to make some extra cash. So I worked at a very upscale wine store that was outfitted by Foreman and Wolf, so it was, and they gave us all kinds of tests on what grape, what varietal, what year, the terroir that went with it, and it was so detailed. I mean, I'd get these tests back and I'd be studying like harder than I did to get my kids ready in school. But it paid off when I had to lead these tastings, because it was really neat to kind of get the backstory and the science and everything. So, I mean, this is a crash course in the neurology of whiskey tasting and nosing, which is really cool. So,
yes, Kelsey, I love this. Kelsey, we agree. She's a wealth of knowledge. We love it. There you go. Kelsey for that. Yeah.
Good to see you. Right. And Brian, Brian Tracy, if you're still in chat, would love to touch base with you soon. And somebody, I mean, you're really rocking and rolling and doing some great stuff.
Oh, he's doing Baltimore proud. We are so excited that he's, Maryland had this rich history of rye whiskey pre-prohibition. I mean, we were big boys like Kentucky, and
it went away,
and it just kind of like in a blink of an eye was gone. So it's really cool to see someone like him bring it back. Not just bring it back though, but the people, everyone there, if you've ever been to Sagamore, they're welcoming. They're just fun to be around. They're knowledgeable. It's like open. It doesn't, I hate to say, it doesn't always feel like Baltimore, because sometimes it's not Baltimore.
That's true.
But man, what a great representation of our city, honestly, because we're not all what you see on the wire. It's a great place to be.
We're just making things happen here at 21090, because Brian's going to email her right now. So there you go.
There you go, Brian.
There you go.
Awesome, Brian.
When we have this wonderful collaboration between you, we can thank us. Yep. Is that how it goes?
You always like a little pat on the back.
I'm just joking. All right, I have to taste this because my salivary glands are just going crazy. I need to taste it. Cheers, everyone. Hopefully, anyone in the chat who has this, let's go. Cheers.
While you guys are tasting too, I'll just want to say that for the Nancy's picks, the condition that I would put my name on, this bottle was that every pick had to be at least 4 years old. And now, as of this May, I think we're finally going to have every pick be at least 5 years old. And my goal is every year to just up the ante. No,
that's fantastic, because I think the August was around, was it 4 years, 8 months, something like that?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was creeping up there. What a so flavorful for being so young too.
Well,
just a very flavorful, well balanced whiskey.
I love how oily it is. You get, again, I said cake on the nose. I get that sort of decadent cake. I don't know if it's like a frosting too, also, but you can taste the rye spice coming through in the end. I just it's so. There's just so many flavors on your tongue. It just moves and weighs with different flavors as you first drink it and then you finish. That's what I love in this whiskey.
So Nancy, we had talked earlier too, also about this love of high proof whiskey, right? We really love it.
Love it.
I thought it was funny, but I've also heard some people who work at distilleries say, careful, because the higher the proof, the more the deficiencies can be masked by the high proof. So there's some, method to proofing down to bring out and accentuate the flavors. What's your thought process on that, especially when you go into picking some of these barrels? Because I mean, the cask drinks are so beautiful, but I guess that's a very possible thing too, where it can mask some deficiencies in the whiskey.
Well, that's absolutely true. It can mask, high proof can mask deficiencies. I know that for anything I put out that's higher proof, whether it be from Still Austin or in any of the distilleries I work with, I like to first try to cask strength, then maybe a few degrees of alcohol lower, a little lower than that, little lower, just to make sure that there aren't faults coming out. Certain faults tend to come out in lower proofs. For example, I don't know if you guys know what geosmin is. But it's a blue-green algae mold byproduct that comes out in water that smells like beetroot.
Oh wow!
So if you've got some of that when you proof down your barrels to put or your whiskey to put it in barrels, maybe at the higher strengths you won't notice it, but at lower strengths will come out and smell like like earth or beetroot. So that's the kind of thing you have to watch out for. But for anything I do at cask strength, I want to make sure that there are no faults with it.
Right.
We're not going to find something nasty if you add a couple of ice cubes to it. And
yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I guess that's when you're taking that into consideration when you're picking the barrel, dropping a few cubes in, seeing what it tastes like on the rocks and over ice too, to just kind of get the multiple flavor profiles that it can produce, which is
you had tested at a few proofs. First it's natural strength, then you go down maybe 5 degrees of alcohol at a time in a sample, and make sure that maybe to about 80 proof, make sure it's not gonna have some faulty flavors coming through, and that's really crucial when doing something like this.
There are some of our viewers who are tasting it and just saying, "Absolutely, this is absolutely fantastic."
Thanks for
and so for the samples that were shared on,
this turns into like a creamy chocolate to me at the end. I get like an almond like a really almond forward. I don't know why I'm getting that, like sort of, I don't know. It's like a butterly. It's so silky on my tongue. That's what I like about it. The chocolate, creamy chocolate comes through. You get any other notes? What are you getting?
No, it's what the mouth feels amazing.
Yeah,
I mean. But
the rye spice comes through as well.
Yeah, you get like a little bit of black pepper at the end, which I really dig. But there's almost like a slight caramel note too, which I really like on this. That is just it's a beautiful pour. Sarah asked a question earlier. The name of the glass that you're sipping out of, that's a tulip glass, right? You said that's a small stem tulip glass, or what's the name of that?
Yes. I assume, Sarah, I saw your question. I assume you were talking about this glass. It's a tulip glass. This is actually one that comes from Europe. And I like glasses that have a stem on them. That way, you're if you've washed your hand with some kind of aromatic soap, it's not going to affect your tasting so much. You can hold that and not get any off aromas from soaps or anything like that. But yeah, that's what it, whether it's a Glencairn, which I use all the time, or for the higher end products, I tend to use something with stem on. So yeah, there are a number of suppliers for those kind of
so Nancy, before we move on, guys, also any super chat tonight, you're going to get samples of both of these Nancy picks this January. And by the way, this August was our bourbon of the year. That's it was our I mean,
just glorious.
I know it's sort of very small, but hey, we had other single barrels in there, and it's all good. So, that, and then we have the Wyoming Whiskey 10-year, which we're going to get to next, and then the Joseph Magnus. Which one is this, Andy?
That's the 109. That's
109.
The Black Sheep is what that one's called.
Sheep. So, guys, just so you know, we'll be giving.
By the way, that's killer.
We'll get to it.
It's really good. I was just excited.
One last question. So we'll have Still Austin next week. So I don't want to steal all their thunder, but how often do these Nancy picks come out?
That's once a month.
Once a month. Oh wow.
So, yeah. So I'll go through 20 or 30 barrels or so, and kind of look at what we have in stock that's really speaking to the moment, and so it's at least 4 years old.
Okay.
Pretty much everything has been like 4.5 or above, and it's said before, as of this May, I'm hoping everything is going to be 5+.
Did I read correctly? I thought I saw an article that you're also holding back barrels that you eventually want to have aged a very long time at Still Austin. Is that correct? I mean, eventually getting to very high age statement barrels that you would release.
Assuming yes, and there are some barrels that I think have some good maturation potential.
Okay.
Whether that's 7 years old or 8 years old or 9, equaling 12 years in Kentucky or 15 years, we'll see. And I also have to be concerned about evaporative loss, which would have great loss in Texas. So
I can imagine Angel Share's pretty heavy.
Part of it's going to depend upon that, but I definitely want to experiment with long-term aging, and I think part of the thing about Still Austin that makes it a little different from some of the other distilleries, they have more of the Texas funk, as it were, is that it's column distillation.
Okay.
Pod distillation.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. And there's a Nancy. Isn't there a huge 50
footer, right?
50 foot Nancy. It's called Nancy. Yep. Yeah,
Nancy,
there you go.
Yeah. After not after. I'm
right. No, that's
the character.
Attack of the 50-foot Wood, right?
Yes. There you go. There you go.
After that old B movie, the sort of
that's really cool. I love it. See, here's some of our friends from the get together. We gave samples, and they're all loving the samples. That's great. I knew you would. And listen, Andy, you do work in Austin.
Yeah.
I think if there's a monthly release, I think you need to be making a trip monthly to Austin.
I'll see if I can make that.
Sure.
My wife will love that. I will tell you this: I got off the plane and went to my hotel, and I was only about maybe 3 miles from Still Austin. It was 108 degrees, and I was like, it's brutal. But I'm thinking, and this is in August, but I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. That's got to be crazy on the aging process.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But what was strange about this, and I say this very sincerely, I think everyone who gets into this business, it's a passion, and so like I don't want to speak ill of other distilleries. But like I look at something like Garrison Brothers, which is really, really expensive, right? And I have had many of their offerings. Still Austin is younger, more affordable, and I think just so much better, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So but again, it's Texas juice, and so there's a lot of good distilleries. But what Still Austin has done and how fast they've done it is pretty incredible. So I'm really stoked about that. Lots of super chats coming in. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We appreciate you all. I don't know. I guess Nancy likes to indulge. I have to give a rock on thank you to all of you out there. You know what? You get to experience if you're there. So yes, thank you. We definitely appreciate it. There was a question there too. PRSs are sitting here in the background because Paul Reed Smith is right in our backyard, Todd, again.
Yes,
over in the Eastern Shore. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ask what our favorite. It's Ed 21090. What's your favorite guitar? And I would throw that to you as well, Nancy. A favorite guitar.
Sunburst Les Paul for me, but that's just me.
What is your favorite guitar, bass and or 12/6, whatever you choose?
Yeah, that I own or if like.
Well, I would think for you that you own, yeah,
or that you wish you owned. There you go. That's a good one too.
So I have a couple of pre-CBS era basses. I've got a 1958 Fender P bass.
Wow.
Mary Kay, that is my hands down my favorite bass in the world.
Awesome.
And not just because it's sold. I mean, that sucker, it pumps.
That's really cool.
Fantastic. The pots have been changed on it, but it has the original pickups, and just the neck just, oh my God, just feels fantastic.
See, that's guitars are like that. They have to feel right in your hand. Everything has to kind of flow. I have a Schecter Ruby Red Hellraiser that I absolutely love. It's great when I want to crank my crazy 80s rock music and stuff like that. But there's just like the guitar has to feel right. You pick it up, you touch it, and you're like, this is it. And it's got to feel right in the hands.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry, Nancy.
Oh yeah, the one that you've got on the photo, that Mustang is actually my birth year, 1970.
Nice.
And it's a refinish in a Gulf colors, the Gulf blue and orange, racing colors. But that thing's like 6 pounds, 8 ounces or something.
That's awesome.
And it just, oh my God.
But you play guitars. I mean, I've read also you have a prize black Rickenbacker 330. Which is that true?
Yeah, I do. I've got a probably my favorite is that I got last year. I traded about 5 guitars for this sucker. Is a Les Paul.
There you go. Now it is.
The V2 1960. So it replicates Les Paul that would have been made in, say, like March, April of 1960. So the neck is just a little thinner than a 59, but not that thin.
Wow.
It's
awesome. How does that sound when you play it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like butter.
I scratched that. I said we should be sitting at Still Austin watching a band. No, I want to be sitting at Still Austin, drinking Still Austin, watching Nancy play. That's the ultimate right there. How about that?
Todd makes things happen. BTO fly out with us because Todd can set that up too.
Well,
we'll be doing a collaboration. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Cheech is a guitar player. By the way, Cheech is going live after us. Everybody go to Cheech after our live stream. Cheech, thank you for doing that. And he plays guitar and shred. So maybe we could have some. It could be like an all-star jam of bourbon people. I mean,
you're on, bro. That's
there it is. I'll play the tambourine. You play the tambourine.
Everybody needs more cowbell, Todd. Everybody needs more cowbell. You'll be fine.
That's what it is. There it is.
That's awesome.
Real quick, I want to just say for our Patreon members, it's week 5 of the 5 weeks of whiskey. We will give this away at the end of the show. The 2 bottles are the 5-year bottle and bond from Sagamore, shocker, and then also their Reserve Series barley wine cask finish. So,
that's a cool one, man. That's a distillery release. Really, really good stuff. Both of them fantastic. So
Patreon members just going to be in the chat at the end
and
of
Todd,
what?
If you're not a Patreon member,
it's $3.99 a month. Now's a great time to become one, right?
Todd's our salesman. He's good
I think
at it.
It's really cheaper now. It's definitely cheaper than a cup of coffee now. I guarantee you that.
That's true.
That's
true.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so Nancy, so every now and then we're going to give you some fun questions
Here
just to throw at you.
Let's do it.
All right, here's one to start you off. You're sitting at home. The lead singer of this band calls and says, you fill in the blanks. Our bass player is no longer with the band. We need someone to fill in our upcoming tour. Who is the band and who is the lead singer that called you to come in and fill in for them?
Wow, great question.
Who are you going out on tour with?
Wow.
It can be a band that's no longer here. It could be a current band, whoever. But who are you going out on tour with? Who's the lead singer that says, Nancy, we need you?
Well, their original lead singer is dead.
That's okay. This is fantasy.
I'd have to say Johnny Van Zant is calling me to play bass for Leonard Skinner.
Wow. That's awesome.
Wow.
I'm a huge Leon Wilkerson fan. Man, so yeah, I have to sing Leonard Skinner would probably be who I'd want to be
That's awesome.
There it is. Leonard Skinner.
That's I love and Southern rock and roll too. It's good stuff.
It's just
man.
the band tragic of everything that happened to them, but yeah, and they still play. I mean, how many original members are still in? I mean, is there one or two?
There's only a couple left.
Gary Rossington is the only member that's alive, but he's had some health issues, so he's not touring with them all the time anymore. Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
But yeah, I mean, I would so totally
you'd be out there rocking a little free bird.
I love it.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Quit blending whiskey and I'm on the road.
Well, that's the life right
there.
The
whiskey can be for the after party. It's fine.
That's true.
You do your set, everybody's happy, you go back, you pull out a Nancy pick, life is good on the road. That's not bad.
Absolutely. That's
all right, Todd, real quick, just before you get to that.
Yep.
Same question to you.
Ooh.
Who are you playing? I'm assuming
guitar.
You probably play drums because you're a good air drummer.
Yeah, it'd be two bands. I have to say, one more that's still it is Motley Crue, because I could certainly take Tommy Lee's place. I'm sure, right? In many ways. And two, Queen. I'm a huge Queen. That's like my biggest. I would have given anything to see Freddie Mercury live. That band plays at some. I mean, just to me, it's tragic that he's. I love everything about Queen and Freddie Mercury, and just I would have loved to have been Brian May at one point. Could you imagine strumming that?
Oh yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
How about you? I mean, is it Def Leppard?
Well, outside the obvious, so yes, of course it would be Def Leppard. I would want to be in. So after Clark tragically left, if they need me instead of Vivian, I'd have jumped in.
Can I guess what you'd say
for the second one?
Yes, you're gonna kill Richie Sambora and be the lead singer, be the guitar player for Bon Jovi.
No? See, I don't. That's not true.
Okay,
I'll keep Richie. I'll kick John out of the band. I'll let me be John. I'll be happy.
You would be John. Oh, you'd be John. Oh, it makes sense. Okay, so lead singer syndrome.
Yeah,
love it.
All right. Good stuff. So let's go from Texas and let's head out
to Wyoming.
Let's go a little east, but not too much east, to Kirby, the small town of Kirby. You've been out there, yes? Is there anything in Kirby
besides Wyoming whiskey?
I've seen pictures. It doesn't look a couple cattle in a distillery.
Not
What's
much.
out there?
The population actually just dropped from 92 to I think 76 or something. I mean, it's there's very little out there, and almost nothing. From what I understand, there's and I've been to this whole ghost town. It's called Guybo. That's near across the highway from Kirby and Wyoming whiskey, but apparently Kirby is where all the working girls lived, and that's
okay.
All right. Okay.
I know it's a family show, but it's we're
that's all right.
And
not much else out there in Kirby, so
I'm sure Dave DeFazio can wax a lot more about this than I can, but it has a really interesting history out there, and it's just a really fascinating place to be. But it's a great place to make whiskey.
That's it sounds great. The story again, Wyoming is another really cool story. Steve Nally's got a pretty storied whiskey past himself, so you're working with another big gun there.
Absolutely.
And even the aquifer where they're pulling the water out of in Wyoming is impressive. From they have, when you talk about having resources around them, they've got access to some really just organic and raw like goodness just growing right there in the Great Basin, or what's it called there? What's that little area called?
It's called the Bighorn Basin.
Bighorn Basin, yeah.
Good
so
close.
So, but so that'd be cool to get out there.
Has anyone else in the chat had this amazing? We were lucky enough to get a bottle, and it's certainly. I wish more people could experience it. It's absolutely everything you would want in a whiskey. Nancy, tell us a little bit about this and how it came to be, and sort of working with Steve. And you do other things at Wyoming, but this 10 years sort of the main thing that we have right now that we wanted to talk about. But there's certainly other things that you do at Wyoming. But tell us a little bit about the 10 year and how that came to be.
So, just quickly, I've I came on as master blender in October of 2014. And Steve, I believe, had left that spring of 2014. So pretty much everything that's been blended there, I've done. This is it's a rye bourbon, so there I've been shepherding some barrels that are the rye whiskey and rye bourbon barrels that Steve laid down in November and December of 2011. So over the years, these barrels became what's known as now Outrider, which is the blend of the rye.
People are drinking it right now. Yeah, there it is. Bill's drinking the Outrider right now. Good.
Rye bourbon. So I've been tending to this stock since it was 3 years old. And there were certain barrels that I thought had more maturation potential than others, so I held some of the stock back.
Yep.
To age, and kind of long story short, over the years, I just happened to have some barrels that were really very interesting for a 10-year-old. And in fact, we are supposed to have released it 2 years ago, just as the barrels turned 10 years old, but I didn't quite think the barrels were where they ought to be. So we waited like another 5 months, but before we barreled this. So in Wyoming, you've got very, 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 very cold winters that go for a long time, very hot summer. So very short amount of time. But during the cold season, the barrels go into what's called dormancy. So anytime the liquid in a barrel gets below, say, about 45 degrees Fahrenheit, there's no maturation going on at all.
Okay.
So with these, I when it came out of March, April, May, when these barrels, this Wyoming whiskey is actually about 10.5 years old, and not just 10.
Right.
That's when we saw it being at the right time. But yeah, we worked on it for a while, and just got it happened to be 20 barrels that we picked. It could have been 17, it could have been 22. We just wanted to get the right blend for it.
Tell you what, so we did our review on this, just popping it. So we had just popped it and poured it and drank it, and it's changed it's gotten even better.
I think it's gotten
and we
even
gave
better.
it a really high score. It is blossom now. It's the syrupy and decadent and sort of dark fruits are coming out now. Like
we mentioned cherry notes. On the Still Austin. They're all over this. They're dancing on this one, which I think is really cool.
Cherries all over. I mean, it's like cherry. I mean,
I would assume though. Now you got the nickname the nose because
orange too
for obvious reasons.
A lot of orange.
So I'm assuming that because correct my this fact. Like 80% of what you taste is what you smell. So that is or 80% of what you smell is what you taste, correct? Something like that. Right. So I'm assuming that becomes ridiculously important to you too, to make sure that nose is so inviting. Because it just has to enhance the overall experience of the whiskey. And this has just got a beautiful nose on this. This is one of the best noses on a whiskey I've spent a long time.
I also love how this drink's bigger than the proof in a good way. I'm not saying that this is 103 proof, but to me, the flavor bomb of this, I wouldn't say I would have expected this to be. It's not an ethanol kick. It's just a flavor bomb that makes you think this is a bigger, more. I mean, it's a 10-year. You can tell the age, but it drinks bigger than the 101 or 103 proof. It's I wish there was a lot more of this. It's so good. And thank you, Women of Whiskey. It's another great channel. They love seeing Nancy tonight. So much knowledge. Yes, there you go. So good to see them in the chat. Thank you guys. And you guys are playing for a sample. Everything you're drinking tonight. We have 2 Still Austin Nancy picks. One from 22, which was our bourbon of the year, and one from January of 23, plus the Wyoming Whiskey 10-year and Joseph Magnus. Andy, what batch is it?
Batch 109.
109.
The Black Sheep.
The Black Sheep. And AKA Andy.
The Andy edition.
There you go.
Is good.
So anything else about this whiskey? I mean, so to me, there's other you do other things at Wyoming. I mean, do you want to plug anything else at Wyoming? Or I mean, we talked about the Outrider.
Wyoming. So yeah, that's gosh, Outrider is one of my personal favorites, but because I like rye a little better than I like wheat. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that.
I love that too. I'm with you.
That said, what Wyoming Whiskey state only releases Wyoming, are usually in the 6 to 7+ year range. Big fan of those. I've been going through the stock lately of the from 2009 to 2015. And have been finding some phenomenal things lately. So, the older things I think are finally going to be coming online now, which I'm really excited about. So pretty much everything at Wyoming Whiskey.
That's awesome. They talked about how they had a rocky start. They once they started kicking out their own juice, it didn't go over as they had planned, and it needed more time. It needed to mature a little bit more.
It was always their own product. They never sourced.
Right. That's same with Still Austin, though, right? Yeah, same with Still Austin.
Correct. Yeah. Problem was in Wyoming is they released it too early.
Oh.
And with those really long winters, very short summertime, it just they've owned up to the fact that was a.
So was it the exact opposite of Still Austin, where you're having these, it's basically sped up. It's slowed down in Wyoming, is what you.
Yeah.
I also read that. Did you also say to them that they needed to increase their entry proof by a couple of points, and that made a huge difference? Correct, if I'm wrong.
It made a huge difference. So when Steve Finale came on, his coming from Maker's Mark. Nothing against Steve. I love Steve. It's not that, but I don't think the arid maturation was really understood at that time. Kind of like cold, arid climate maturation was not really well understood at that time. So he came on when Steve came on. The entry proof was 110. After he left, and when I came on in October of 2014, I raised the entry proof to 114. So we went from 110 to 114, and that way we were able to get a little bit more of the alcohol solubles of the oak, and see a little bit more color sooner on. Just a few more things that we wanted. Anytime you're working with a wheat recipe, you don't want to go as high as you would with a rye recipe. But it for those maturation conditions, arid, cold, it needed to have a little bit more alcohol solubles. So it that really changed the game after that.
Well, speaking of some of the good stuff coming out there too, William, thank you, just became a Patreon
member. Would thank you. That's awesome.
He had watched our review of the Wyoming 10, and he asked, had we had the barrels, the cask strength that we have not.
No.
But he said, would you be able to compare it? How was the 10-year versus that cask strength that they have as one of the releases they have at Wyoming? I'm assuming you've had that as well. What are your thoughts on the cask strength
from Wyoming?
From Wyoming.
Not only if I had it, I pick it every year.
There you go. So it's good. Now you know it's good. There you go.
So the cask strength is the wheat recipe too. So that part is different. with it. But for the cask strength for released every year, that I'm always looking for the perfect barrel where it's you know, you could kind of think of like the feathers of peacock. It's, you know, the spectrum of aroma. And that's, I'm, you know, looking for the just absolute perfect barrel that it doesn't need water reduction. It doesn't need anything. It's fine just on its own. So I see it as a very different product from, you know, the Lost in 10 year.
Got it.
But both really strong offerings, which now we have to find that.
Now we have
too.
to find.
So FOMO kicking in. We now have to find that bottle as well.
Of course.
So that's,
of course. That's what it's all about.
That's what, and again, William, thank you.
Yeah, William,
you know,
welcome to the family.
I have to say, we do it for everybody when they join. It is just customary. So welcome to the family. There we go.
Will Barrett says the Wyoming Whiskey Barrel Strength was probably his favorite wheat whiskey of 22.
All right, perfect.
We've got to get this. Now I definitely have fun.
Yeah, that's
hell yeah. There's Deathless Dogs. What's up? What's up, Dan? Good to see you, Dan.
Welcome. Glad you guys share out. Come hang out with Nancy tonight.
We got to give a shout out to Mr. Great Shows. Nancy, say hi to Mr. Great. His name's Mark. Can you just say hi to Mark?
Hey, Mark.
He's from the Austin area, so he's the one that got us the January Nancy picks, and he's very nice. He's a wonderful patron and friend of ours. So just Mark, thank you, and appreciate that. He wants to know when we can expect the cask strength rye. He really is excited. We all are. I don't know if you can soon, right?
Hear it soon. I've been like majorly under the weather, and in fact, tomorrow, the rest of this week, I'm going to be working on sauce and blends. It's all my fault that this product is not out.
It's worth the wait, everyone. It doesn't matter. Until then, we'll sip on these. So that leads me to another off the wall question.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So you're out and about. There are no Nancy picks anywhere. No whiskey that you've had a hand in at all. What is your go-to whiskey that you have had nothing to do with whatsoever? What is your go-to?
Go-to. Well, it's going to be very pedestrian, but I think in a good way. By me saying that, I don't think this is a bad thing. Quite frankly, I love Wild Turkey 101.
Oh, look at that.
It's good stuff.
I can go to any dive bar, any place in the country. I mean, I've found it in, you know, like a Tasmania, you know, Hobart, Tasmania. I've found it all over the world. And then, you know, dive bars, you know, from coast to coast. Wild Turkey 101, I know if I'm not going to drink beer, you know, something else like that, then and I want whiskey or want bourbon in particular, that's going to be
awesome.
It's going to be solid, it's going to be consistent, and that's what I'm looking for.
It's versatile. You can drink it neat. You can put it on the rocks. I mean, it's a versatile pour. It's a good one.
It's one of my favorites. I have to say.
Awesome.
I mean,
all right, I have a question from one of our Patreon members, Bourbon, or actually Uncensored Whiskey. He has it looks like he's got quite a few Wyoming Whiskey single barrel picks, and he wants to know what you think. These are the private stock, I guess. I don't know if I can show this picture. Anything about
what's the barrel number?
Oh gosh, he doesn't have it on. The barrel number is it's like 7910.
Okay.
So he's saying is basically it's a weeder, it's a weeder, so it's a weeder. Anything on these weeder picks? I mean, is it something that you prefer the rye mash bill? But I mean, again, I don't know what he wants me to ask you, but he just said ask her about these picks. He's got a bunch of them. He likes them. Do you know anything about them? Are you?
Of course, I do. So I everything that goes into that program, I initially pick.
Okay.
For that program.
Okay, got it.
And so what I'm looking for in the private stock picks, I'm looking for, well, first of all, it's got to be good quality, but I'm also looking just for something that might be interesting. It's very different than what I might pick for the cask strength, and the cask strength pick at Wyoming Whiskey has to be perfect in every way conceivable. I mean, not that I think the private picks are poor quality or anything like that. I mean, they're like a cut above most things, but I'm often looking for something that might be kind of interesting, like where it was matured in the warehouse. If it was like on a lower row or a high row or middle cut or something like that that I kind of find interesting. And so I hope that kind of helps. But yeah, I pick everything that goes into that program, and then people pick from my picks.
There you go. He said it's a Connecticut barrel for Women of Whiskey, not the Channel Women of Whiskey. It's a different, I guess, organization in Connecticut that he got that pick from. So
that's very cool.
There you go.
910. Okay. Yep. That's so I definitely would have picked that, but before
Andy, we have another page. Shauna Marie is the new Patreon member. I tell you what, Shauna, thank you. That's great. Love seeing that. Thank you for the support. I'm going to attribute it all to Nancy being here. So thank you, Nancy.
We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we'll give you.
So we'll have David DeFazio on in 2 weeks, guys, from Wyoming Whiskey. So super excited about that. We'll go through a bunch of expressions from besides just the 10-year. Maybe we'll get a cask strength from them real quick and have it in 2 weeks. We'll see.
Gosh, right? If you can, you should.
Yeah, we sent
we'll tell him.
We'll tell him.
Nancy said, "Look,
listen,
okay,
even a sample, we
know you can get it here. We know you're watching.
Honestly, they sent us a whole bottle of this. We were like,
beggars can't be choosers.
We can't be. So at this point, we're like, we'll take this. I mean, this is this is an amazing bottle. Yeah. Right now, it's the best bottle I've tried in 22 or 23. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm thrilled about that, and I'm currently drinking some of that at its natural cask strength.
Oh, wow! Show that again. Can you show that again, just real quick? Look at that.
So this came before it was ever
wow
119 proof before it was reduced. So this is an actual tank sample,
right?
From the stainless.
So what's the difference between what you're tasting there and what we have in our bottle? Is there, obviously you proofed it down to get a better flavor profile, but so what are you getting more out of that bottle than you would at what we have?
This one admittedly probably has a more barrel spice to it.
Okay.
And so, when we landed on 103.4, we were not looking, well, the fact that it's kind of an arbitrary number, 0.4, 103.4 is
like a radio station.
It does.
Kind of what we were looking for what we thought the best proof as a big release would be, and not, we could have gone to 100, we could have gone to, any other kind of firm number, but we were looking for, we kind of tested it out at different proofs, and found that's
what it was. It's great. It's beautiful.
The fun part
you have to be happy.
The fun part's finding that sweet spot.
You have to be happy with it. I mean, you have to be happy with it. I wish there was more that everybody could share. I mean, that's the thing. It's a very limited amount that you have, and like for instance in Maryland, I haven't seen this anywhere.
No.
Have you?
Well, no. These are the kind of bottles you're probably gonna have to know a liquor store owner to get your hands on anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the.
How many is it total? Do you know how many total went out for this? I mean, is it what is it? I think I'm trying to see.
It wasn't.
I'm terrible at math. That's a David question. I mean, all I know is the proof.
20 of the rarest casks. It says 20 of the rarest casks.
Yeah, and like what I was saying before, I could have chosen 17, could have chosen 21, 22, 23. it just so happened to be 20.
Okay.
And the proof was, right where I thought it should land, where it tasted the best. I really like this 119, but it's admittedly quite angular. And so, it has a lot of, you're getting a lot more barrel tannin from it.
Got it.
And I mean, I personally like it at that proof, but I think for the general public, 103.4 was the best place possible.
It is a great proof point.
If we just wanted to stretch the stock out, I mean, gosh, we could have put it down in, 94 or 90 or 80. God forbid. So this product has been a work in progress for so many years.
It's amazing. I love it.
Good things come to those who wait, because it's a fantastic pour.
We have a question from the mash bill. Thank you, Stanley. Somehow we missed this, but my question: are you involved in the private sector? So yes, we found that out. You are involved. Yeah. Also, is there a newer brand that you like? I thought you might like band that you like. Sorry, like Larkin Poe or something like that. I don't know who Larkin Poe is. Do you, Andy?
I do not, but
I don't know if you know who Eddie Drunk is, but he's our resident. There you go, Larkin Poe. He is like the mash bill. Stanley is our rock and roll, like sort of Eddie Trunk. He's a masterman of knowledge of rock and roll. So check that band out. I'm sure.
Love that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right. So Nancy, our tagline is beer, bourbon, and rock and roll. We're all a couple of home brewers too. So,
we homebrew, by the way.
So we dabble in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is perfect. So my segue now is into beer. What is your favorite beer and or style? Like, is there a style of beer or styles that you really dig? We really got into whiskey because we were so into barrel aged beers. We were working with Goose Island and their Bourbon County Stouts, and they were getting sent to us. We were reviewing them.
Why do we love these so much?
What is it behind that? And so we fell in love with the through barrel aged beers into whiskey, and that kind of started our journey. But we've been beer guys forever,
right?
How about you? What's your favorite beer styles, breweries? We'd love to know.
Can I grab something out of my fridge?
Yes. This is great.
Absolutely. Yes.
I didn't know Nancy.
All right. This is cool.
Should we crack a beer with Nancy Fraley?
I don't, you're not going to, I'm not going to say no. You know that.
This is what it's all about.
Down here?
I do, dude.
We got barrel aged stuff. Yeah, we do have barrel aged stuff.
Do you want barrel aged stuff? Is that what you want?
Roll, yeah, I'm going to.
Andy, this is what we got to crew. This is from Sapwood Cellars.
Ooh.
It is Imperial Stout aged with coconut and masala chai.
Okay.
Why not?
All right. Stay tuned. Nancy's coming right back. We're about to do a beer segment with Nancy.
Should I open this up, Andy?
Which is cool. Yep. Here we go. Here's Nancy back. All right. We're back.
I have a lot of Scottish ancestry, but
nice.
I'm a big fan of Scotch ales.
Yes.
A wee heavy.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. I also tend to love Russian Imperial stouts aged in ex-bourbon barrels. I've done a little bit of that from some clients years ago that I had maybe 25, 30 gallon barrels that I took from them and put some of my own homebrew.
I love that. That's
so cool. That's awesome.
Unfortunately, I'm not home long enough these days to be able to do much home brewing, but I love that. But I tend to really I like dark beers.
We just did a review that I'm just about to drop.
Andy, smell this
from First State Brewing. It's a tiny little brewery in Delaware. But they aged their Russian Imperial Stout and Sagamore Rye for 9 months. A glorious pour.
How great is that?
We just got done reviewing that. We're doing this thing this year where we're on the hunt for the best barrel aged beer in the country.
Yes.
So we're having people send us stuff. We're reviewing it. We're putting it on Patreon for a rating.
Yep.
But we're beer geeks too. So beer,
we started this channel started as home brewing. That's all we did. We did a bunch of home brewing videos. We would tape our home brews. And that's great, but you're doing the same thing every time, and we kind of you get bored of that, right? So we said, well, let's review beers then. So we started reviewing macro beer or craft beers, and then we got into these barrel aged beers. And then the barrel-aged beers said, oh, there's whiskey barrels. Let's learn about that. And then Andy started drinking whiskey. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I think the first, he gave me, Nancy, an Old Granddad 114. And I thought it was like the worst thing ever. It was the first whiskey I've ever tried.
I love this. Like, dude, this tastes like cinnamon. It's great.
Oh
He's like,
oh my God, it smells.
I have on camera somewhere where he's like, this is the worst thing I've ever tasted in my entire life.
Now I love it.
I said,
right?
we're going to do this, Todd.
My palate wasn't ready for it. And then he introduced me to the Larceny small batch, which was okay. I liked that. I pulled out the flavors. Anyway, slippery slope, because now you know where we're at. But so we're drinking, Nancy, from a local brewery, Sapwood Cellars. This is a bourbon stout with coconut and masala chai.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and it's barrel aged, by the way. It's barrel aged.
Barrel aged.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Cheers to you, Nancy. And I love that you love beer too. That's a great thing.
Oh, I love beer. That's my Celtic heritage kind of.
Oh. We had a Scotch ale that was.
We didn't review this one yet.
No, we didn't. This is amazing.
Wow!
Holy crap!
That's fantastic.
Oh my God! So that's amazing. Well, geez, Louise,
might want to cap that, brother. That's
we
really
might
good.
want to cap that. Holy crap, that's good.
That's fantastic.
That's my. Oh,
so
all right.
yeah, so
sorry.
we're beer nerds too. But
Whoa.
Todd, I mean, I don't. Because of our journey, we dabbled into whiskey, and then we started reviewing more and more, and our palates got more refined. We really enjoyed it. But there are some special whiskeys that Todd had that I just feel like, I don't know if you've tried any of these, but you may
get ready, everybody.
You may want to see if you've heard of any of these, Nancy.
Because
it's not the one. Hold on, here we go.
Okay, what you guys are all waiting for tonight on our live stream, our members only giveaway is something very special. We are giving away our top 5 whiskeys of 2020 to a lucky winner. Those are going to be the Knob Creek 12-year Select, the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Ride, the Rare Breed Masters Tier 17, the Old Crow Double Barrel 47, and then the Maker's Mark's P90X. All absolutely amazing bourbons that you can't find easily that Andy has. One lucky member will get it. So we can't wait to see you tonight, 8:30 p.m. And we'll have some fun. Cheers. I'm at the beach. That's where the live stream will be.
Oh,
listen, first of all, I'm sorry, Nancy, you saw that. He does this we had Mark and Sherry Carter, we had Brian Tracy on. We've had so he makes, so that was my, I was maybe 6 months into my whiskey journey.
He asked me, he said, please, he said, tell me what we're reviewing or giving away.
What we're giving away.
So I just sent him stuff and I made up things. And my favorite was like, he'll never read Maker's Mark P90X on the air.
That's on me. I should have gotten that.
And then he reads it straight faced.
And I upload it.
And he called me and I said, this is the greatest day of my life. I'm going to play this all the time. So
Todd
he's come quite a way since our Maker's Mark P90X.
Crow Double Barrel 47.
Crow Double Barrel 47.
Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Any day of the week.
There you go.
That was good. That was his favorite one. So I had to put in one to keep him honest.
Yes.
I had to put one in.
Anyway, Andy likes joking on me. So there you go. All right. So let's move on to a little Joe. Oh, you have any questions, Andy, that you want to ask? Anything? Any other questions for Nancy that's kind of fun? Let's throw a question at her.
Question at her. Okay. Here's another one for you.
All right. You ready, Nancy?
Two-part question.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Name the first concert you went to, and then the best concert that you've been to at any time.
Okay. First concert I ever went to, I was 12 years old, and it would have been Alabama. The
nice country. All right.
Yeah,
at 12 years old. How you have great parents, by the way.
Did you sit in the cheap seats? Nope.
Well, yeah. It was kind of open seating out in the country. Those days were so different than the concerts you go to today. 1982. I'll just put it this way: people did things at the concert, and we were there all day. I mean, we got there at 11 in the morning or whatever. People did things that you would just never see in 2023.
Not today. Yep. Yeah, not today. Yeah.
Best concert I've ever been to was probably last year when I got pretty close to front row at Paul McCartney.
Oh shoot!
And I'm a huge Beatles fan, and Paul McCartney as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Paul was like right there.
That's awesome.
It was like worth everything. I saved a long time for those tickets, and it was worth everything I paid for it.
It's almost like last year, Andy, when we went to see Def Leppard, Motley Crue, and Poison and Joan Jett, and we had second row seats.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
God,
it was pretty fantastic.
That would have been killer. And I'd love to see Motley Crue and Joan Jett
and Def Leppard. Please say Def Leppard because then you have a connection. I'll hear about it all night. Andy is the biggest Def Leppard fan
no, I mean, yes,
that I know.
Yes, they are the greatest band of this and or any generation, but that's not, that doesn't, that's okay. I'm just saying.
What Nancy was great about that is especially Def Leppard. Now listen, Motley Crue, Vince can't sing as well as he used to. He's put on some pounds, but Def Leppard, they are in their 60s and they sound fantastic. I mean, they put on an amazing show, a lot of energy. They sound exactly like they did 30 years ago. Right?
Well,
Am I wrong?
They take care of themselves.
They take care of themselves. I mean, Motley Crue puts on a great show.
They still party a lot.
And Vince Neil can't sing as well as he used to. He's a lot bigger. And that's just, Vince
could never. Didn't Mick Mars just retire too? And I mean, I love Mick Mars.
He has that condition. Spina bifida, that and
going on.
Yes, ankle. Yes, whatever. And John 5 is the new, and he's an amazing guitar player, and they're great. They're really. I mean, Motley Crue is one of my favorite bands of all time. I just wish Vince would take care of himself. That's all.
I do too, and I don't know if you guys like the Scorpions.
Oh my gosh,
love Scorpions. Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
There you go.
Sorry. Master, just a quick side note, a master blender friend of mine from Sweden made a line of whiskeys devoted to the Scorpions.
Yes, I tried like hell to get that online. I searched every site I could possibly find overseas. I could get nothing. I went on secondary bid sites. I was like, please send me the Scorpions whiskey. I don't care what's in the bottle. Send it. I could not find it anyway.
I know people.
Andy, I'll text you. Yes. We'll review it and Andy will have a moment with it. Yes. Awesome. That's great. All right, there you go. Women of Whiskey. The first concert was Aerosmith and Dokken.
So wait. Finish the Scorpion story.
Yes. Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. I love them.
And they've been around forever. They were the late 60s.
Are they retiring though? They keep
they keep coming back, but
they're playing in Vegas too, I think, right now, or they were. Scorpions?
Oh, okay. The Scorpions. Yeah,
the Scorpions. You're talking about Aerosmith. I'm sorry. Yeah, she was.
My concert was Aerosmith and Dokken, and I love Aerosmith.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, they're great.
Are they the greatest American rock band of all time? American. Is Van Halen better than Aerosmith?
That's a tough call.
I mean, that's what we want to. I mean, who is the best American rock band of all time, Nancy? Who do you?
Or is it Skinner?
Or is it Skinner? Oh, it might be Skinner. Oh, I'm
a big Skinner fan. Because I'm from the American South. And that.
But Skinner. Skinner's the answer there. I'm sorry, I messed up.
But this body of work is so long, and
Aerosmith would be right up there too.
Which Van Halen? Dan says. Dusty Dan says which Van Halen? Well, that's a good question. I always think of.
I do love me some Van Halen.
David Lee Roth to me is Van Halen, but I do love Sammy too. So that's true.
I love them both. So.
Very good point. All right, let's get to Joseph Magnus, Andy. I'm curious.
Okay. David Lee Roth era. Sorry, that's
exactly. Thank you, Nancy.
I like David. You know what's funny though? I will say this.
Okay, we're a-hole, but that's
exactly. It's still better.
Here's what I will tell you. I'm just going to throw this out there. I love David Lee Roth. I love classic Van Halen.
Yeah.
David had a killer band when he went solo. And I loved Sammy with Van Halen. I think Sammy with Van Halen was better than Sammy solo, but David did some good solo stuff. He had some killer musicians with him.
Yes.
So there was a point in time where you could get your fix of both David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar and just have killer musicianship across the board. Like really good.
Is there another band that changed lead singers and had continued success like Van Halen?
AC/DC did.
Oh, AC/DC. Okay. But he died. Bon Scott died. But other than like death, like actually they kicked him out and like brought in, Sammy, and it continued. The success continued. Yeah. I don't know if you can think of another band where
not that amount of success that I can think of that came in, because it's hard. The voice is hard to replace, and I think that those are two rare exceptions of really.
Joe Graves is.
I mean, can you imagine?
Van Halen 100%.
Can you imagine Aerosmith without Steven Tyler?
Listen, I love.
It's hard to
To me, Guns N' Roses is one of the top 5 bands of all time. I love Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Joe Graves does not think so. And Andy does not think so. I love Guns N' Roses.
God, I love Guns N' Roses.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like GNR. I had to take them in doses sometimes.
Why?
But it's
great. I know. Listen, we've had a long summer season.
Quickly, AC/DC. I like Bon Scott's voice better.
Yes.
That's
when you know she truly rocks.
I mean, he was just a wild man, but yeah.
And they were just getting started before he passed. I mean, that when Highway to Hell came out, they were just finding that gear where they were on their way to like true stardom, because Back in Black cracked in, and that became such a high grossing album that Brian Johnson walked into a gold mine because they were there.
Yes.
And had they done that exact same album, Mutt Lange produced it.
Yeah.
You go in there and that's a Bon Scott album. So it does the same thing. I don't think there's any difference.
My very first,
I think it's huge.
Nancy, I was 16 years old and I saw it's my first concert I ever saw. LA Guns and AC/DC. This is a Razor's Edge tour in 1991, I think. I don't know what my mom was thinking. I went with my 16-year-old friend to the Landover, Maryland Cap Center and watched them play. And I saw so cool. LA Guns come on, and it's sleazy rock, and then AC/DC blew my mind. I mean, even with Brian Johnson, it blew my mind, and I was hooked there. That's I'm a rock fan ever since. So anyway,
I love Brian Johnson, but Bon Scott's my man. He's my boy.
Brian Johnson's he's a cool guy, but he's almost like your host of a show. Like Brian Johnson's like your storytime guy.
Yeah.
Bon Scott was a legit rock star.
Yeah,
like he like oozed like that rock star charisma. Yeah,
he's a showman too, and that's why I really wish Queen. Like that's the big. Like I see the old videos of Freddie Mercury and Queen, and like why? I want him around. I would love to see that. I didn't never get it.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Brilliant, right? Brilliant. Question from David Blaylock for Nancy. I don't know if you can answer this because it's kind of a hard question, but what's your favorite batch of cigar blend for Joe? And we're going to move on to Joseph Magnus. So, I mean, is there one?
There are many.
That's what I thought. It's like, who's your favorite kid, right? I mean, how do you say that?
That's your favorite line.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're poor kids.
I only have 3.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to pour a little bit of a barrel batch that's going to end up being barrel or batch 162 straight from the barrel.
Okay,
right now, but
straight from.
So I love barrel 1 because I added a little bit of the original 1892 Magnus to it. That's one of my I mean, just a hint of it. Batch 2, batch 1011, some from the 20s, some from the 40s. So I think 58 was the Darth Vader batch. That's
nice. Why is it called the Darth Vader batch? I'm curious. Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Highest proof.
Makes sense then. There you
go. Some from the 70s. So batch 77 I worked on it, especially. That was the Freebird Leonard Skinner batch.
That's cool.
92 commemorating 1892, the original Magnus. I worked especially on that. Did some extra things to it. added again just a couple of mLs of the original 1892 Magnus to that. Some of these later batches now that you guys don't have, but they're that I haven't released yet, or that are like from about 154 to 162.
What do we have here, Andy? What are we drinking?
We have 109.
109. Okay.
109, okay. So yeah. That's the Black Sheep.
Yep.
You got that right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
What's the proof on that is what
That's
around the 115-ish range?
Yes, 115.92. That's impressive.
How do you know that? That's amazing.
Yeah. That's so I've gone back and up in proof since then. And I've got some of I don't have an actual barrel of that, but a full bottle, but I've got cask samples of it.
Do you write some of these descriptions, by the way?
Every description.
Okay, so
tasting notes for my work, and that's why
awesome.
I was so behind right now because
that's really cool. So I'm going to do my best Morgan Freeman voice.
All right.
Right?
You're going to say the tasting.
I'm going to do the tasting notes that Nancy wrote.
Okay.
All right, we'll see how I do on this. But this is the cigar blend batch 109, the Black Sheep,
aka Andy.
Andy batch.
All right.
While cigar batch 109 shares some of the same citrus, sweet, and nutty notes with its 5 sister batches that come from the same Coupe Mare. I said that wrong, didn't I? Did I say it right? Coupe Mare? Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Andy. I would not have.
Or mother blend. It is very much the rebel of the bunch. On the nose, this batch lends aromas of more traditional notes of sweet raisins, creme brulee, and candied tangerine peels, but then dramatically shifts gears to aromas of pine nut brittle with rosemary and sea salt. A whole host of fruits such as citron, cherries, overripe pineapple, and ginger root kiss the palate, along with macaroons topped with shaved coconuts. Then, more of the savory and herbal notes such as the lemon, thyme, pound cake, and honeydew, melon, basil, granitas that make up this bold presence. This batch is for the independent-minded and mavericks out there.
Yeah.
Does that not it makes me want to drink it. That's how great is that description? It's fantastic. It's really good.
It's delicious. It
usually takes me about to do 12 tastes, or to write the tasting notes for 12 batches. It usually takes me about a couple of days. I
can imagine that's not easy. I mean, we behind the scenes we
weekends.
We do blogs and stuff like that on our Patreon behind the scenes. And you have to go back, you have to rewrite, you have to rethink, you have to go through the writing is beautiful, but it's difficult because you have to get it right. So
the other thing is when we do the reviews of these, and we oftentimes we open the bottle quickly and then and drink it right away. We do the review, it changes 3 weeks after the fact. I'm like, oh crap, I'm getting this now, and it's changed. So it is what it is.
But so Nancy's a writer,
yes,
a blender,
a rocker,
a homebrewer, a musician.
What else?
A chemist,
a good time. A mad scientist, a friend.
I mean, you know what? Yes,
an artist.
An artist. There you go.
An artist. Pretty darn cool, Nancy. I'm not going to lie to you. Really, really cool.
Nancy. One of the things I also read. You're in a lot of articles about. They ask you, how did you get to where you are within whiskey? And you're like, well, it's my education. So I know you went to Harvard, and so you've learned how to do all these things, and your education is sort of brought you to where you are in terms of how you learn the craft of whiskey, correct? I mean, that all translates.
Yeah, well, it is, and I'll go back to my my cognac blending. Centuries old French blending techniques. That's where everything comes from, and I'll also confess something. I've got a severe learning disability when it comes to math. So when it comes to certain things, that I need to do for a blend, I know intuitively what needs to happen, and I'll let somebody else do the math.
That's like Andy.
You're speaking of the choir.
Andy.
I the creative side of my brain.
So he writes in creative. I do the math.
I mean, you're speaking my language, and as a person who's diagnosed with ADHD.
We just become best friends.
I was diagnosed with ADHD in my 40s. They didn't tell me back in the day, hey, and I think of it as a gift because I don't think I'm non-neurotypical. So I think things very differently. And you can almost pick out your kin, so to speak. And when I heard you talking, dabbling on these things, like, I'll bet you she's one of us. It's one of those things.
All right. I got to ask this. I got to do this question real quick. And Nancy, Eric gave us a super chat way back. He's a great friend of ours. He was at that Graves Madness. So hypothetically, Nancy, this is a big hypothetical. And so I know this is tough because, again, you have clients. If Nancy could raid one rickhouse of any distillery and select barrels to blend with, which distillery would she choose? I think it's a great question.
It is a cool question.
Can you even answer that?
That is a wonderful question, Eric. And you know what? What I probably do would be Buffalo Trace.
There it is.
Okay, because they have so many styles of rickhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Some that are right up there by the river. So they get the humidity coming off the river, and that you kind of get roundness from those barrels to Warehouse K to so many different styles of warehouses. Being able to blend with that would just be, to me, a dream come true.
That's cool.
Is a blender, because you get so many different aromatic and different palate type of changes.
So that's a question that I would have for you. So I go back to the onophile in me when I'm thinking about wine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that France is the leader in the old world is because the terroir is perfect over there. So you think of Burgundy, and you think of Bordeaux and Côte d'Aron and all these places that are just perfect for growing grapes because of not just the climate, but the terroir, the slopes, the proximity to water off the riverbanks, like all these things play into the grape growing region, make it perfect.
Right.
Translate that for me, if you could. Where are some hot spots where that translates for aging whiskey, and where some hot spots for whiskey should be? What states, even if they're not there, should be better and should be producing more whiskey, where it can't all be the bluegrass state? Like, there's got to be places outside that should be up and coming with some killer whiskey, and maybe they are, and we just haven't heard about them yet. But how does that translate to us over here in America? And like, where should we be looking for some of the next great, whiskey? That's
an excellent question. And very pertinent to, this whole conversation we've been having. Oh, by the way, Richie Z, love you too, bro. That's
there it is. I love that. Awesome. Richie is awesome.
I think, if we kind of look at different types of maturation, Kentucky seems to, it gets 4 seasons, get some humidity, get some dryness, or in the summer, it gets dryness in the winter, or, you get kind of like evenness. But if you look at places like Texas, again, depends on what part of Texas you're going on, but if I think in general, hot, humid climate, especially in eastern Texas, Iron Republic, still Austin, Balcones, all those kind of distilleries. You've got a certain profile. Distilleries along the southern seaboard, or along the Gulf Coast, for instance, you get certain profiles. San Augustine Distillery down in Florida, places like, and I know these are clients of mine too, but I see all these like major differences in maturation, but like a J. Henry and Sons, Dane, Wisconsin, where you've got long winters, but it's not quite like Wyoming. It's not so dry in the same way. And, even Wyoming, places like that, or Utah, where you.
Yeah, because Utah's a great example. I was in Salt Lake City last year.
Yeah, sure.
I was there 4 days. I was there. One day I was in short sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
One day it snowed. It hailed one day.
Yeah.
And then it was just like kind of mid-tempo. The next, it changes on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
So certain places have got to wreak havoc on that age. But then I think of some place, like Traverse City, like we had Chris Fredrickson on. Like they're great people. They're wonderful. We had them up, but those winters are brutal. Yeah. And like there's so many different elements that come into this, and it just makes you wonder, like, what is the next? You talked about the Gulf, like Louisiana and Alabama, Mississippi. Like, where is the next big distillery that may come from? Because they have the right climate and terroir for this type thing. So it's just a really cool industry, and now the craft is starting to become legit.
Yeah,
because with beer, anyone can pop up and you can homebrew, and if a batch sucks, you throw it out in a couple of weeks and you do something different. But with whiskey, you can't do that. It has to work. And it has to age and has to sit. So there's something beautiful to that it's the time, like Wyoming is a great example that starts to make the difference. So it's cool to see where things are going, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's, I love watching how whiskey, I've become an expert over the years in how whiskey matures in very different climates. I've had clients in Alberta, Canada, for example, where it's very cold and very arid, and you kind of have to mature things according to, or to deal with that situation all the way down to Texas, down to Florida and Arizona, whatever, everything in between, and it's just really cool to see all these native terroirs kind of come into their own.
Totally.
And the way that the whiskey matures is very different, and something might be technically the same age, might be 5 or 7 years old, but maybe it went through 6 or 7 months of absolute dormancy where barrels didn't do anything, and then you've got a very lively summer season. So it's just really cool to see.
It is neat. Joe Graves actually said
Maryland.
He put Maryland. Maryland's a great example.
As the cold winter sometimes.
We have legit 4 seasons here. So they actually had an article that I read. This is very interesting because Virginia has a pretty good wine industry, and we're right next door to Virginia. And I know you've got some experience working in Virginia with the Virginia. So you've been there. You know what that's like with the Virginia Whiskey Company. So we right next door, because of our archaic import-export laws with alcohol, we never did anything in the wine industry. But they said the terroir that matches France most of all in America,
Virginia,
is actually Maryland.
Oh, Maryland.
Maryland. So Maryland should be the best grape growing region, but it's not, because we just no one ever put any time into it. It was like a 2-dog race between Bordy and Leelor. It was the only ones out there. So long story short, you're finding that stuff too, like Maryland's up and coming. Sagamore is big. And then you start to see other players who are starting to grow their own stuff and starting to come up, but they need more time. And it's just really neat to see like what's going to come out next. What's going to be the next big thing.
Real quick question for you from Dan. I think he lives up in this area, but do you have a favorite J. Henry release? I mean, I know we're saying which is your favorite child, but is there some notable J. Henry releases? Can you give them some? What do you think?
There is. I'm a big fan of La Flamme Reserve. This finished in the Armagnac cask. And that product grew out of in a 2017. I think I took my best clients, or the 4 major distilleries I work with, took them on a trip to France to go study with some of my mentors.
Oh wow!
And we spent a lot of time in the Armagnac region. But anyway, that's a product that I just absolutely love. Also love the Anniversary, the limited edition. Love Bellefontaine. But I tend to like those things. They have a little bit more of the French influence to them that we've done.
Okay, there you go. Any other questions, Andy?
That's it. Oh, I have tons of questions.
I know. I think it's time for another Stump Nancy question.
Oh, Stump Nancy? Okay. All right. So here's one for you.
Stop away.
So
come on, here we go.
You are on a desert island.
Oh,
with only your good friend Wilson the volleyball, and you can
and Todd.
Trust me, you'd rather Wilson the volleyball. and so you can only bring one album with you to play. What album, what record are you bringing with you to play on that little island with Wilson?
Oh my God. That's wow. That is difficult.
It's always the one that's tough because you know what? It's easy to pick even a friend or a bottle of something, but an album's like, really, one? What's your album?
That's the thing I've got to listen to well.
This is the Stump Nancy portion.
This is it.
I will tell you mine is Hysteria.
Yeah, getting down to the wire. One album and one whiskey.
I like that.
One album, one whiskey.
That's a better question. Let's do that.
Yeah. That's so. I would probably my one whiskey would be Wyoming Whiskey Outrider.
All right, nice.
It's a daily for me. I mean, admittedly, I've got I blend it, but it's it actually has been a daily for me for years.
Mm-hmm.
The album, oh my God.
I love people are putting their albums in.
Sgt. Pepper's, Led Zeppelin 2,
Sgt. Pepper's,
Pink Floyd
JG
Echoes.
loves Air Supply, so we put that in there. Pink Floyd Echoes. Let's see what else. 4 Seasons. Oh my goodness. So that's a stump. We may have stumped Nancy Fraley.
I think so.
God, that's.
Well, what are some of your albums you like? I mean, you can name a couple.
You can bring a couple then.
Bring a couple.
Zeppelin 4.
Well, something from Skynyrd, I assume, right? I mean, come on.
Skynyrd, yeah, it's
That's
probably
Skynyrd.
Like Second Helping or something like that. The problem is I just love so many of those bands from that time.
It is hard. It's a tough question, especially if you don't have because when you listen to music, it can change with your mood, what you want to listen to. Like whatever mood you're in, you can listen to something different. You even said you could listen to Hank Williams, or you can listen to Leonard Skinner. You can listen to, there's all kinds of different things you can kind of listen to.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to pick out just one. Now, unless you have an undying love.
Mine would be Appetite for Destruction.
You'd be Appetite for Destruction. I know that.
Guns N' Roses, Appetite. Yep.
I would definitely be Def Leppard, Hysteria.
Right.
Yeah. Or Pyromania. That's hard. One of the two.
Real quick, Saucy's enjoying the Wyoming Whiskey Double Cask. We didn't talk about that, but he's enjoying.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's a sherry finish, right? That's fantastic.
Is it?
Yep, that's the X finish.
There it is. Saucy Shane. He loves the Wyoming Whiskey.
That's really good.
Saucy, yeah.
Saucy, Nancy, you were in Jason's Blendageddon finals, right? You tasted those final. He was one of the final people in there. So he didn't win, but he was in the final. So how about that?
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
Those all the small samples I got.
Yeah, right.
I drank those.
Lovely.
There's no way I was going to let
there it is. Put that back up real quick. I'm going to read that. This has been a really neat listening to Nancy. I had no idea the celebrity she is. Newest fan of hers. Look at that. I love it.
All right.
Sarah was at our little get together this past weekend.
That's cool.
I love seeing that. That's great. That's so cool.
All
right, so last call for the flight of whiskeys we have. We have 2 Nancy Still Awesome picks. One from August of 22, which is our bourbon of 22, bourbon of the year for 22. Our January, which is I mean, we have to do a side-by-side comparison, but it's
So good.
equally as good. January 23, we have the Wyoming Whiskey 10-year, which to me is the winner of the lot. And then the Joseph Magnus Andy Blend.
Yeah.
Black Sheep.
The Black Sheep. So
Black
we'll do that.
There you go. So that's that. And then we have also for our Patreon members, at the very end, I'll do that. We will give away. Should we do that now?
We can. Why don't you
All
get
right,
that
let's
up
do
and
that
I'll
now.
ask Nancy
All right.
a couple more goofy
So
questions.
Patreon members, if you're a
Just to
Patreon
put it on
member,
the spot.
put the number 1 right now.
You guys give me one moment to hit the Elaine's room.
Yes.
No worries. No worries. No
we'll do
worries.
this, and then you come back, and we'll finish it up. We'll be done in a couple minutes.
You bet. All right.
Awesome. All right.
All right. So Patreon members, put the number 1 if you're a Patreon member, and I will add you into the Sagamore Spirits Bottled and Bond 5-year that just came out. There you go. And
Good stuff.
And this is the last of the 5 weeks of whiskey. We'll do it again. Don't worry. In the spring.
Yep.
The barley wine finish. So you guys get 2 bottles tonight. This is week 5. Yes. Oh gosh, and there they all are. Can you start? Oh gosh.
All right, hold on. I'll look at the. Oh, Todd's getting worried. Hold on, they're going quick.
I know, Andy. I need you to tell me.
Okay, it's fine.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
All right, Andy, give it to me.
You want me to start with
the first one?
Okay, hold on. Let me get back up here. You're okay there, little fella. Hold on.
There you go. I can stand.
Ready?
Up. Yep. Go.
Eric. Commandante Lou. That's fine. Saucy.
Yep.
Mr. Whiskey Shits.
Adam.
Doug.
Mr.
Great Shot.
I'm going to put Mr. Great Shot.
You
know why? That's what he's known by.
Buddy, whatever you want. John Kranz. Sugar Kitty.
Hold on.
All right.
I'm not that quick.
Okay.
You're okay, buddy.
Sugar Kitty. I didn't sell. Hold on. I have to show this.
Well, do you want to finish up, Todd?
Oh, yeah. I do want to finish up. All right. Sorry.
Stay focused.
Sugar Kitty. Dang it.
Focus, little fella. You're all right. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe Graves. Kathy Graves. Heartsight. Ash and Metal. Scott J. G.
Wait, was that the mash metal? Sorry.
Scott J.G.
Scott.
Yeah.
Okay.
J.H. Dogs.
Scott. Who is Scott J.G.?
Well, I'm not sure.
I don't think he's a Patreon member.
Oh, okay. All right. Deathless Dogs.
Scott J.G., are you a Patreon member? I don't think you are.
Okay. Well, then let's keep going. It's all right. William Hall.
Hold on. Who was after Scott J.G.?
Todd.
J.H. Jesus.
Deathless Dogs.
You have one thing to do.
Go with it.
He has no idea who his Patreon members at all. He has no idea who his Patreon.
Dusty Dan.
You have no idea. That's the funny part about this.
Dusty Dan.
Dusty just launched his Patreon, guys. Go check that out.
William Hall just became
William just did. There you go, William.
David All About That Bays.
David Bays.
The Mash Bill. Robert Shea. Sorry, Nancy, we're almost done.
Yep. Sorry, man.
Okay. Fine.
Ryan.
Wait, who was after Mashbo? I'm sorry.
Robert Shea. Ryan.
Shea Ryan. Where's her better or lesser half?
He's here too, Brandon.
I'm gonna put Brandon. Who is after Ryan though?
Amy Boehm.
Amy.
Whiskey Wars.
Yeah.
JG.
You got him?
Oreo Cookie.
Oreo in.
And that's it, buddy.
So here's okay. So we have this is great odds.
Oh, Whiskey Uncensored Bourbon.
A whiskey.
And Scott says yes, he is.
Is he? I'm sorry.
So there you go.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
So don't see. I told you. So put Scott.
He probably is. Scott. If he's saying he is, I could believe.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm sorry, Scott.
That's awesome.
It's Scott. What? Just Scott.
Scott JG.
JG. Threw me off. All right, Scott, you're in. All right. I'm sorry. I'll make sure of that, but I'm sure if you're saying you are, I believe you. All right, so it's 27. That's not bad. Good odds. So let's give this away. So this is whoever wins first gets a pick of the Sagamore 5-year bottle. And Nancy, that's such that's their own distillate, and it's at 5 years. Bottle and Bond is
BT and the team, good stuff.
Great,
man.
and then their barley wine, which is even better. So can you bring that? I said I have to do that, Andy. Hold on. Yeah. Present, share screen. We'll get to it in 1 second. I'm sorry, Nancy, but just do some.
It's all good.
Todd's doing some house.
House. There we go. Can you see that, Andy? Can you bring it up for me?
I got you, little fella.
All right. This is for the first bottle of Sagamore. Am I missing? Is anybody saying, "Hey, you've missed me"? Is anybody? Are we good?
Roll that beautiful bean.
All right, guys. This is what we do to our Patreon members. We give full bottles of whiskey away.
Mm-hmm.
Two of them tonight. So here we go. First winner. Who's it going to be?
The winner is?
The wheel has
spoken.
Oh,
it's Kathy. It's Kathy Grade.
There we go.
Kathy.
yes.
Is Kathy still around?
She's here.
What does she want? She went the 5-year bottle bond or the barley wine?
I don't know.
That's the question.
You remember when you asked her to prom and she said no?
I did not ask. So Nancy, Kathy, and I and Andy went to the same high school. Kathy was older than us a year.
That's so cool. That's
Todd asked her to prom. She said no.
She was much cooler than us. I had a sweet mullet back in the day, Nancy. I don't have any hair now, so
mullet. Yes.
I had a sweet mullet and back in the day.
If you can imagine Macaulay Culkin with a mullet, that's exactly what he looked like. It was beautiful.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Did Kathy say what she wanted? Did Joe pick for her?
She wants a 5-year.
5-year. Well done. That's I think the better bottle. All right. So here's for actually, they're both really good.
And I beg to differ. They're both really, really good.
I don't know. The 5 years is pretty freaking amazing.
They're both awesome. Spin it.
Here's the barley wine. Who wins the barley wine? It better not be Joe.
And the winner is
Doug
or Mr. Great Shot.
It's
It is
Mr. Great Shot.
We're sending it right out to Austin. There you
Austin,
go.
Texas.
There you go.
The wheel knows what we like.
The wheel knows.
Way to go. All right.
So, very cool.
All right. Couple questions for Nancy. And then guys, last chance. Again, 2 Still Austin Nancy picks from August of 22 and January of 23.
Yep.
Wyoming Whiskey, 10-year anniversary sample, and the Joseph Magnus batch 109. Is that right?
109. The black sheep.
The black sheep. There we go. So that's what you guys are winning tonight.
Yeah. All right. So Nancy, here's one more goofy question for you. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, superpower. Wow.
Okay, yeah, got it.
You stumped her again.
Like,
I would love to be a bass and guitar just genius. Electric bass and electric guitar, like like a Jimi Hendrix or a Eric Clapton, or just have that level of genius that if I could have done anything in my life, I mean, changed anything in my life, being that level of genius, or that level of playing would have been my dream.
Something tells me anything you put your mind to, you probably
that's true. Is true.
You probably do.
That is true.
That would have been my. I mean, I would have. I mean, I love making whiskey, but man, I would have. But to be that level of,
yeah,
that would have been my dream.
Do you love seeing live music? Like are you a big fan of seeing live music? I mean, yeah, it's like it's almost therapeutic. We love going to see live music, and
I love live music, and and I'm on the road a lot. Most of the time, and especially during blending season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the road, so I don't get to see live music as much as I would like. But there's just nothing like live music, and. And also I have to say I love vinyl as opposed.
Yes, I have a big old vinyl and I love it.
Or I say call them records.
Records, yeah.
I call them records. That's how I learned them. They were records.
That's what we grew up.
Yeah, you had those little Fisher Price.
They were records. They were records. I had to. I know they're vinyl.
I had them too.
That's the cool thing to say is vinyl.
Berenstain Bears on record where you put it on the
records.
thing and you just listen to the story. Yeah,
and it makes that shh.
Yes.
Sound, and I love that. I mean, I live for that, and that's.
Sean had a good question way above.
Yeah, it's a pretty. It's different, and it's funny because a younger generation doesn't get that. But there is something very special about vinyl that is.
Andy, Shauna, you didn't say Shauna.
Vinyl, yeah.
You know what? We'll send Shauna something.
Shauna, we will send you something.
Yeah, we're gonna because Shauna's brand new tonight too.
You missed
Shauna,
her.
and you know what? And Shauna also didn't get the proper welcome like everybody else. And so Shauna, I'm sorry, and we will send you. Actually, I'm gonna send Shauna a T-shirt.
Whoa!
You're gonna get a Glam Rock
and a Nancy, and we're gonna get a sample of the Nancy Still Austin.
Yeah, we'll get you a sample of the Nancy Still Austin, and you're gonna get a 21090 Glen beer, bourbon, and Shamrock. You're sending it, not me. Stop it. You'll get it. You'll get it because you'll get it by next Valentine's Day. But thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.
I don't know if Shauna had another question, but that's why I saw that we missed her.
No,
one.
that's
that
great.
was the one.
So thank you, Sean.
All right, so let's
one more question.
Okay, as I load in. JH is in. Last call for the Nancy Fraley expression from Still Austin.
We're getting ready to
Joseph Magnus and Wyoming Whiskey 10-year. That's it. We're gonna load it up.
It's been a fun night, by the way. So
Nancy,
we're gonna give Nancy one more off the wall question.
Oh, Andy, Whiskey War says T-shirt. You said something interesting.
Yeah, whatever. Whiskey Wars. We'll talk later.
Sorry, guys. I'll get it to her. But okay, there you go.
Everything is on its way. So
yeah, go ahead, Andy.
All right, Nancy. Hollywood calls, and they are penning base bourbon and beer. The Nancy Fraley story, and it's going to be a huge movie. But you get to pick the person that plays Nancy Fraley in that movie. Who is playing Nancy in the Nancy Fraley story? Base, bourbon, and beer. The Nancy Fraley story.
Who would play the Todd Carrick movie?
Playing Todd? We have a whole line of people who play you. Don't worry.
Bruce Willis?
It's not Bruce Willis. Scott Van Pelt, maybe Scott Van Pelt. No. But who's playing Nancy? Who are you casting? Because you get to cast this person to play you in the Nancy Fraley story.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just quickly make sure I have this right.
Oh no, Andy, you stumped Nancy again.
These are questions you don't get all the time when you're on.
No, not at all. Andy, you gotta watch out when you come on our stream. I tell you what.
God, who would play me?
Oh, that's a hard question, Andy.
She doesn't look like me, but I think she could get my kind of rebel spirit, if that makes sense. Maybe Kristen Stewart.
There you go. I like it.
I loved her performance in the Runaways. Was Joan Jett. I mean,
yes, Nancy. Great.
Cool answer.
But
so there you go.
That is said, she could gain 30 pounds.
No.
Kristen Stewart's my years of whiskey drinking and all. But
Steve-O was done. What's Steve-O?
Great call.
Peaks right on and all. The rosacea. But I think Kristen Stewart would probably be kind of who I would want to.
That's a great choice.
Essence, because I think she could totally get my essence, and
it's a great choice. She was also in the Twilight movies, and Todd looks a little bit like a vampire. So it actually it all kind of like it's full circle.
Although when I drink, I get flushed.
Kind of like the 8 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. It all comes full circle.
I'm Irish, Nancy. So we have
a little Irish.
Right. So I've got the whole Scottish Brit.
I'm Scottish too. Carrick is my last name. So there you go. Nancy, Shauna, we found the question. Shauna, I'm sorry. Annie, we're sending you a shirt for St. Patrick's Day and a Nancy Fraley expression. So, Shauna, welcome to the family. 21090 Brewing. That's when we home. So 21090brewing@gmail.com. Email us your address and we'll get that out to you. She wanted to know, what do you think of the trees being used now for barrels? I just watched a vid that compared whiskey from 10 to 15 years or so, and the older always won. Thoughts? So the older, I'm curious. What? I just watched a vid that compared whiskey from now to 10 to 15 years. So and the older, so the older ones were always won. Yes. Thoughts?
Well, so that's a good question. I think I get where you're going, Shauna, with this. About 13 years ago, Independent Stave Company, where a lot of the some of the best whiskey barrels come from. I did a VIP tour. I went out in the forest and felled trees, and got to mill staves and toast barrels and to char things and all that. So I got to go through the whole process of production, or when it comes to barrels and such. And I kind of think that where barrels are coming from now versus where they were before, I think well, I'll have to say that, yeah, when you think of trees being used now for barrels, I have to say it, in the United States, at least, the barrels are being felled for trees, for American white oak, Quercus alba, tend to be from forests. They're often privately owned, and the ages of the barrels are, of the oak is somewhere 50 to 75 years old. I think the quality is still there in general, but that said, I think there are so many distilleries now compared to what was going on in 10 to 15 years ago that that there's not as much time with the yard seasoning for barrels. So you have to pay a lot more for yard seasoning, and by yard seasoning I mean with the staves being out in the yards for maybe 12 to 24 to 36 months and such. That's become a lot more expensive. But those barrels are a lot more, staves for those barrels are the best quality. So the cost of barrels has gone up quite a lot more, and I don't know if that gets to what your question is, but I think it's a lot more expensive these days to have higher quality barrels, higher quality cooperage, and yet that is so much. I mean, that's such a critical point in the maturation process, and for quality, that's just really important.
Right.
So
I hope that helps, Shauna. I mean, that's that's a deep question with a tough answer.
It's a great question.
And then you got to deal with cooperages and the whole 9 yards and getting everything right. And it's but
Richie Z, we will have a website up soon that will have access to our Glencairn.
Yep,
so
that's coming very soon. You also had votes, by the way, for Hilary Swank and Scarlett Johansson to play you, Nancy.
Whoa.
By the way, just to let you know. Yes.
Hey,
all right.
So, I never get good people. It's always like
well, you get good people. You just get bald people.
I get very bald people. I get very bald people.
You get good people.
I get very bald people. Powder. Yeah, I get that.
The lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes. Yes. I mean, let's be honest. I kind of do.
Much.
I mean, you get those people.
We're gonna soon. Listen. I used to have a mullet, which was business up front, party in the back.
Yep.
We're gonna use that somehow in whiskey somehow, where it's business up front in the palate, party in the back. I think that's gonna catch on. What do you think?
You stole the reference. Who do we steal that from?
Danny Toomey.
That's right.
It's business up, party in the back on the finish. Well, I think that's a good thing. Anyway.
All right, so let's do the wheel to
I already gave away everything.
No.
I did not.
The big one for all the samples.
Let's do it. I'll bring it up. Yes.
All right, and so Nancy, here's the last question before we go off air. And you're welcome. Hang out for a couple seconds afterwards, so we can say thank you properly. But here's your last question, and this is always the toughest one. Well, actually, it's usually pretty easy, but
it's tough, huh?
You've been offered a slot to co-host a famous whiskey show that will eventually become the highest rated show ever on Netflix.
Oh,
ever. And the producers tell you one caveat: you must choose your co-host. Do you choose me or Todd? Who is the co-host?
What kind of question is that?
Who is the co-host of the highest rated whiskey show of all time? Is it the Nancy and Andy show or the Nancy and Todd show?
Well, I'm also Irish, Andy. Andy
I have Irish. I have Irish too. I have my mother is 50% Irish. Just
Nancy, I'm sorry he's doing this to you. I really am. I
mean, I think it's a fair question. I mean, it's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be a very popular show. We have to figure it out.
Ouch, guys. That is.
Here's the appropriate answer. Neither of us, Andy. Neither of us. That's the good thing.
She's like, one of you two is going to make a high-rated show on Netflix. That doesn't make sense at all.
Neither.
That doesn't make sense at all.
Neither.
All right, you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Right.
That'd be
that's a difficult. I'd probably just split you two in half. And you together.
Party the front. This is the front. Party the back. Will be fun.
Is this business or party? I don't know.
You must be business. I'll be party in the back.
I don't have anything.
We'll be in good shape.
I don't have anything.
It's perfect.
There you go.
All right, it works.
I just have to ask you guys: are we kind of in the same age range?
Yes,
46.
I kind of gathered that.
You'll be 47 in March. So yes, yeah.
53.
We're bicentennial babies.
76. Not far off. Not far off. So
that's close enough to we were still listening to the same stuff.
Heck yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we came in on the very end of sort of the 80s rock scene. So
we missed the greatness of the 70s rock.
Yes,
that's the one thing we were born a little late, so we didn't get that. So,
until now,
when Nancy was like 6, we were just we were
born. We were born. Yeah,
but we all kind of came to that mid 80s part. We all kind of experienced together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. So that's I mean, you guys are I absolutely consider you contemporaries for sure. I mean,
I never recalled that, Andy. A contemporary.
That totally makes sense, kind of given where our tastes in music lie.
Yes,
exactly. There it is. All right, Andy, let's bring up the wheel, guys. Thank you for all the support.
This has been a fantastic show. We appreciate you all. Here's the rigged wheel of destiny.
Rigged wheel. Someone's going to win 2 Stale Austin Nancy Fraley picks. The amazing Wyoming Whiskey 10-year anniversary blend from Nancy and Steve Nally. And then the
Black Sheep, Batch 109.
From Joseph Magnus. Guys, thank you. Next week, we will have on Brandon Joldersma from Still Austin. So we'll be giving away even more Still Austin. And there will be more Nancy picks for that as well. So.
And then the week after, stay tuned. We've got Wyoming Whiskey.
David DeFazio will be coming on, so you'll have another chance at the Wyoming Whiskey 10 year.
Man, the Foz.
Who knew? Who we know tonight now likes Def Leppard, Andy.
Yeah, we became best friends.
You did.
We became best friends.
All right, so I'll shuffle it once. Guys, thank you for the support. You all rock. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you to our new Patreon members tonight. We appreciate you as well. Thank you. That's really cool.
And YouTube members, it's all good. Let's see who wins this amazing flight, Andy. You ready?
All right, roll it, buddy.
All right, let's go.
The winner tonight. Here's the big winner.
I can't see anything here at this point.
Well, your eyes are bad.
So are yours. I can't see that.
And the winner is
Big Vic. All right. Big Vic. He mentioned he has not had any of the things that we had. Big Vic, well, way to go. All right, Big Vic. There it is. All right. Well, welcome. Congratulations, Big Vic. And I'm glad you won. He mentioned in his super chat, he has not had any of these whiskeys.
Well, you are in for a surprise because I tell you, all 4 of these are just absolutely dynamite.
Heck, yes.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, there he is.
So, Nancy, thank you. We can't thank you enough. This has been, I hope you had fun. Did you have a good time tonight?
I had so much fun. And you know what? Anytime you guys want to do this again, let's rock and roll. So, yeah.
Maybe we can do it one night when you're in Austin and we can be down there.
Hey, what about that? What do you think about that? I'll be there. Nancy, are you there in May? I'll be there in May. So I will be out in Austin.
I'll be in Wyoming Whiskey is that's the beginning of our blend season. So
I'll be that sounds good too.
Wyoming.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, Wyoming. Andy, do you have any context in Wyoming Whiskey?
I actually do.
There you go. Hey, I'll just come along.
Well, I'll bring Todd just for fun.
Whatever, there it is. But did everybody in the chat have fun? I think we all had fun. This was amazing. Great stream. Yeah. Right now, Cheech is live, guys. Everybody head over to Cheech. Yep, Whiskey Encore's live. Go check him out. He's going live. So, Andy, wonderful.
was awesome. Nancy, thank
Nancy,
you
you're the best.
a million times.
We love you.
Yeah, stick around for 2 seconds, Nancy, while we sign off. We appreciate it.
A little bit more.
But before a little come out, because in the words of Joe Elliott, Todd, the lead singer of Def Leppard, and Nancy's going to pour one with us too. Hold on. Here we go.
Are you going to say it, Andy?
Yeah, I'm going to say it. We're going to wait for Nancy to pour hers. Until next time.
Oh, and there will be a next time.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Guys, thank you so much. Nancy, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Rock on.
And, thank you guys for having me on, and I'd be on anytime. You
That's
guys
awesome.
name it, and we'll do something fun.
We appreciate you. Ladies and
so
gentlemen, Nancy the Nose Fraley.
Oh, amazing.
We'll see y'all next time.
See you next Tuesday, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, Andy. We're never getting through this.
Wasn't ready for that.
Get yourself check here. What's wrong with you?
Fine. I also didn't have dinner.
Oh, you didn't have dinner?
There's nothing in my stomach.
Oh my God. We drank 8 whiskeys.
I felt drunk after the first beer.
Oh my God. Jeez.
Is that center?
And a barrel of beer. I don't even know at this point, Andy. We haven't gotten to that point. Come on, dude. Let's go. Finish this. This is important. Well, maybe it's not.
Do I still look high?
You do. You do. But let's go.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Where are we starting from?
Welcome back to 2TEN90's.
Welcome back to 2TEN90's.
Yes.
I'm Andy, you're Todd.
Yes. Okay. And just go into it. Let's review FAO2.
Let's just do it.
Don't worry about 01. Say
Don't
we
worry
love
about it.
01. Say the difference.
I'm not worried about 01.
You're so drunk.
That was so springtime.
Fuck. God, we're never gonna do it. We've reached our limit, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if this is a good idea at this point.
We got one more to do. Come on, sit.
Okay, hold on.
Come on.
I'm trying.
There's a lot of whiskey over here.
This is too much.